good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be across the planet, around the world. My name is Greg Prescott from In5D.com. Hopefully I have some audio. Allie's not here today to double check it for me. So hopefully you guys in the chat can hear me. I hope everything's going well for everyone. Happy Tuesday. Today we are going to be talking about the Universal Basic Income Trap, the UBI, Universal Basic Income Trap, data centers, and a whole lot of things. We got a busy night ahead of us, and I hope you stick with me throughout the entire program because there's a lot of material to cover and it all ties in together. So you guys have heard about all these data centers that are being built all around. Nothing good's going to come out of it, honestly, and you all sense and feel that as well. Before I get to that, there's a few other things I need to cover ahead of that, but it all ties in, as you'll see. Quick shout out to Grand Dragon Lady and Lori in the chat room. Hi to both of you. I appreciate you being here. And let's get rolling. Let's go. I've got some screen shares I want to do. But before I get there, we've all, and trust me, this is not a dump on Trump diatribe. It's not. Compare if given the choice between Trump and Kamala Harris, Trump's definitely the better choice. But as you'll see, it's really never been a choice. It's all about the banksters and where it's leading to what, like I was telling you about, it's leading to the universal basic income trap. You'll see in a few minutes. Remember back in 2016 when we were told about, drain the swamp? You remember that? 11 years ago? The swamp is basically crooked politicians. Name 3 that have been arrested. Who has actually been drained? Now, we also have heard of, the whole QAnon movement, which is quite fascinating. If you look at it, we can take a peek at the Q map. And I know this is really hard to see, but I can zoom in a little, I guess. And if you go down to the lower left-hand corner, we see the whole Q thing listed here. Trust the plan, the Q clock, and the Fed, all these things that people rallied around. Follow the white rabbit, end human trafficking. These are all things similar to NESARA that people rallied around. And remember NESARA? And that promised 30 some odd years ago, forgives credit card, mortgage, and other bank debt, abolishes the income tax, abolishes the IRS, increases benefits to senior citizens, returns constitutional law, and all of this other stuff. Now, this was never mentioned in the original NESARA that was created by Harvey Barnard. This was all contrived by a woman named Shani Candace Goodwin. And of course, just like what I was showing you on the Q map, these are all things that people could rally around. Who's going to say no to any of this stuff? But if we go down and look at the Q map, we see similar kind of logic of things that people would rally around. You'd be crazy not to say, hey, show me the tribunals and the Fed, right? Trust the plan, follow the white rabbit, and human trafficking, right? Where we go one, we go all. The white hats drain the swamp. We've seen it. We haven't seen it drained, but we've all seen and heard the expressions and the things that anyone would rally around. But if you look to the left of where it says white hats, you see Epstein Island. Of course, we're going to rally around that. Then underground SEX trafficking tunnels and more trafficking stuff and stuff that, honestly, the whole Q map is filled with stuff that people could rally around. So it'd be easy to get a movement together that would support the QAnon movement, right? I followed it when it happened, and I found it very interesting. But that's the extent of where it ends. It was interesting, just like when I first learned about the flat earth theory. I thought that was pretty interesting. What if? But you guys know me. I've been doing this since 2009 for 17 years. And those who know me know I question everything. In5D was built on questioning everything. And I continue to do that. So let's go to, here we are on X. And there were some interesting things that I had posted on here. And, oh, there's Allie. But if you've never had a psychic reading, or if you would like one, go to psychicalley.net. She's amazing. But here's a video I just posted.
Worst con. I hope you're going to put him out of business tomorrow. I'm in the Oval Office. I hope you're going to put him out of business tomorrow. I'm in the Oval Office, and we're in a fight against the worst congressman in the history of our country. His name is Thomas Massie. He's from Kentucky. I hope you're going to put him out of business.
Now, let me mention that Thomas Massie is one of the few Republicans, if any, who is fighting for the complete unredacted version of the Epstein files. And he's fighting for the victims. And that's something we can all rally around. I'm a firm believer that this Epstein case is so big that it can bring the bottom of the pyramid together, unite us all. That's how big this is, because everybody on the left, and I'm not talking politicians, but just people in general on the left and on the right, we all want to see justice for the victims. Let's continue here.
Tomorrow. He is so bad. Got an election coming up. He's running against a great guy.
So, and look here, how bad is Thomas Massie? He voted for lockdowns, vaccine mandates, corporate bailouts, foreign wars, gun control, government surveillance. Well, obviously, he voted against all this. Big pharma immunity, government control of your car, which is coming up. It's already being implemented, and it's going to be in every car, every new car coming out. Ford industry just started that. And wasteful spending. So really, Mr. Trump, President Trump, why is he so horrible?
Great patriot, Ed Gilrain. He's fantastic.
And here's Ed Gilrain. Remember, I told you guys a few months ago that one of the generals in the Iran conflict, which is obviously now a war, one of the generals said that this is a battle for Jesus and for Armageddon. And what they're trying to do is bring upon this fake, false Armageddon in the name of the Revelation chapter in the Bible. So check this dude out.
Went recently to one of the radio interviews I'm fond of doing to talk to the American people about what's going on, things that would be important to them. And I came in with 13 pages of the unclassified. If I brought the classified tag, it'd be 1,013 pages. I can't talk about it. They're one of the 4 horsemen in the apocalypse.
One of the 4 horsemen in the apocalypse, Iran. Really? So the guy that Trump wants in, instead of the guy that is fighting for justice for the Epstein victims, Trump wants the guy that is going to push for revelation and obviously more war. Plus, he's backed by, guess who? AIPAC. Let's continue.
But forget that. Massey's the worst congressman in the history of our country, always voting against Republicans and good values. So get rid of
against good values, like the stuff listed right below. He's voting, he's voting against lockdowns, vaccine mandates, corporate bailouts, foreign wars, etc.
Thomas Massey.
He's like, Marjorie, my friends will get hurt.
But forget that. So this is a Democrat hoax that never ends. But forget that.
The only thing that matters when I'm talking about Iran, they can't have a nuclear weapon. I don't think about Americans' financial situation.
But forget that.
I think our country is occupied.
But forget that.
Who do you think we're occupied by?
AIPAC.
But forget that.
Who do you care about more, the American people or Israel? American people or Israel, sir? Is it so hard to say you care about the American people who you're here to serve?
But forget that.
And you'll see how all of this ties in. And it honestly goes way beyond politics. The answer is not politics. We'll continue.
We send $18 billion a year to Israel. Why?
But forget that.
Just ask the question, what do we get out of it?
But forget that.
We get nothing. They've got a higher standard of living than we do, a longer lifespan than we do, free education, free housing, free health care, but we're sending them money.
But forget that.
This is now the most expensive primary House race in history. You were talking about 3 billionaires, essentially, are the ones who are funding it. They're all Israel first.
But forget that.
And they hate you over the Epstein Transparency Act and over your position on AIPAC, pretty much, correct?
But forget that.
I'm the only one raising money. It's the lobbyists who are just giving the money. My opponent, Ed, he was promised this money if he would just run against me. And it's all coming from Miriam Adelson, Paul Singer, and John Paulson. Some of them were in the Epstein files.
But forget that.
Some of them just have dinner with people in the Epstein files.
But forget that.
Marjorie, my friends will get hurt.
But forget that.
They're all buddies with the CEO of the World Economic Forum, which I took out with the Epstein files.
But forget that.
They're buddies with Prince Andrew. That's their social circles.
But forget that.
They're afraid that I am bringing accountability to the billionaire class in the United States.
But forget that.
But there's another reason the billionaires are upset with me, because it is about Israel for them. It's about foreign aid and more wars.
But forget that.
It's a one-sided relationship. We're fighting Israel's wars. We're giving them the money.
But forget that.
We're even funding their abortions. You can get state-funded abortions in Israel, and we give them that money. It's all fungible. It's money that they can use on other things.
But forget that.
I am the one guy standing who says, no, I'm not voting for foreign aid, whether it's to Egypt or Syria or Ukraine or Israel. We don't have the money to spend. I have nothing against any given country, and I am being punished for that. But that's what the American people wanted. I said I'm America first, and I mean it.
But forget that. Massey's the worst congressman in the history of our country, always voting against Republicans and good values. So get rid of Thomas Massey. But forget that. But forget that. But forget that.
Interesting. Let's go back here. Yeah. How is he so horrible that he wants justice for the victims? I don't see that as being a bad thing. This was intriguing. This picture that he posted on his Truth Social page, where we see him pressing the nuclear war button. And according to some people on Reddit, they believe that this represents the Eiffel Tower, and the one right above it is a location in London. And on the right, you have a gray in shackles. Obviously, AI created for both of these pictures. I don't think that's the kind of disclosure we're looking for, trying to shackle an extraterrestrial when there's numerous ones out there that are benevolent, not malevolent. According to some, we have had a treaty with the Greys since, I believe, the late 1950s or early 1960s, where I think it was through, it could have been the Eisenhower administration or the Lyndon B. Johnson administration, but a deal was made where they would allow the Greys to abduct so many people per year in exchange for technology. So once again, human trafficking, and we can look how far back it's gone with just that. And if you think about alchemy, as above, so below, what's going on up there? How much other trafficking is going on in the skies above us? And here's an interesting video, and it ties into the QAnon. It ties into the QAnon Great Awakening photo.
There's this whole premise coming from the sort of QAnon movement, and that's like a whole can of worms. But
hang on, let me try that again and get it to go large. There we go.
There's this whole premise coming from the sort of QAnon movement, and that's like a whole can of worms. But there's indication possibly that QAnon is just another example of Operation Trust, which is the Soviet sort of controlled opposition thing to get people who were against the system to support just another individual within the system. But this idea that there are quote unquote white hats in the system working behind the scenes, and President Trump is one of the primary white hats that was able to infiltrate all the corruption and in order to bring about a new era of abundance and freedom by way of the American government. I'd love to hear your thoughts on all that.
I fell for that in late 2017 and 2018. And then Q said the midterms were safe. And then the election happened and Nancy Pelosi became Speaker of the House. So I quickly said, this is a bunch of bullshit, and I'm not going to believe it anymore. It is a psychological operation completely to pull in those that, like you said, are against the government the most, that don't trust it.
Myself included. I fell for it. I admit it. I found it fascinating. It was interesting. And it gave hope, but it was false hope. It was a psyop, a psychological operation.
It is to pull them in and literally force their faith into believing an anonymous source, someone they've never seen, don't know who it is, have no clue who is telling them these things. And they put their entire faith into it. And it's basically a cult.
And this is no different than the cult of Nasara. Same thing. Everyone's putting complete faith into it. It's no different than, I hate to say it, the cult of Jesus or any other cult. You know, previously it was the cult of Mithra, who was born on December 25th to a virgin mother, died, resurrected after 3 days. Same story as Jesus. And there were 7 or 8 other deities before them with the same story. You know, what's the saying? Fool me once, shame on me.
It really honestly is. It pulls them into cult-like thinking and believing complete and outright lies. What it does, it takes a layer of truth and then it twists it into a lie. And it's just completely, it's not right. And I think most people are out of it now. I hope they're out of it now, but some people still hang on to it. But Q was very successful. It was probably one of the most successful psychological operations I've ever seen.
I found that interesting. One of the most successful psychological operations I have seen. And excuse me, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe MTG is wrong. I've talked to so many people on the beach. They'll come up to me and mention something because I play bocce ball every day to get my exercise. And quick shout out to some of the people actually that were on the beach that I've met throughout this past week. Mike and Diana from Ohio, Katie from Kentucky, Eric from Nokomis, Rick from Ohio, Jordan, Diana, Ira, and their newborn to come, baby girl, Barbara and her daughter Amanda, Alicia, Ben, and Zach. How are you? Hope you are watching or seeing this on the recorded version, but I've talked to a lot of people on the beach, and a lot of people are waking up. And these are people that were Trump supporters at one point, and they're questioning everything. We're supposed to do that. And sometimes we question the uncomfortable truths. And that's what's happening right now. Something changed. Can't put my finger on it specifically. But if I had to guess, I would say that Trump was shown the Zapruder film, of Kennedy, that one fateful day. But it all ties into something much greater, and we're going to get to that. Whatever happened to Elon Musk and Doge back in 2024? They uncovered $55 billion of contract and spending cuts, and where they could have saved $55 billion. What happened? There's a connection there. Whatever happened to Anthony Weiner's laptop? What about Hunter Biden's laptop? What happened with Hillary when she bleached the blackberries? Did we ever get the truth of 9/11? Whatever happened with P. Diddy and all the people that attended his party? And now the Epstein files. But things are different now. No, they're not. No, they're not. Let's put this all together and look at the bigger picture. Okay? Let's go back to 1893. The moment they knew Tesla was a problem. On May 1st of 1893, the Chicago's World Fair opened its door and was called the City of Light because it was the first time in history that an entire exposition was powered by electricity on a massive scale. Nikola Tesla powered the world's Columbian Exposition, and the implications were staggering as he demonstrated free energy for everyone. J.P. Morgan, at the time, funded Tesla's biggest competitor, Thomas Edison, during the World's Fair, but in 1901, J.P. Morgan funded Tesla's Wardenclyffe Tower project with $150,000, and that was a lot of money back then, hoping to compete in radio. But when Tesla found a way to transmit free energy globally through this project, Morgan shut it down after asking Tesla how he could charge people for this energy. Tesla told him that the energy was free and could not be metered. JP Morgan believed that he who controls the energy controls the power over people, and because Morgan couldn't profit from this venture nor control others with it, he actively suppressed and buried the technology. Now let's go to the year 1912 and look at the Titanic passengers who never made it to the Jekyll Island meeting. Knowing what you now know about JP Morgan, take a wild guess at who owned the Titanic. Yeah, the same JP Morgan. Morgan reportedly stayed in France for health reasons and to manage his art collection instead of going on that voyage. Now let's look at the people who did go down with the ship. Among the notable victims, John Jacob Astor IV, Isidor Straus, and Benjamin Guggenheim, who were three of the wealthiest and most influential men in America and three of the most vocal opponents of a central banking system for the United States. The Titanic sank in the early morning hours of April 15th, 1912, and the Federal Reserve was created on December 23rd, 1913, just 20 months later. Draw your own conclusions. So now we're in 1913, and we have this 100-year plan. Mayor Amschel Rothschild once said, "Permit me to issue and control the money of a nation, and I care not who makes its laws." William Lyon Mackenzie once said, even more plainly, "Once a nation parts with its control of its currency and credit, it matters not who makes that nation's laws." The United States had been in some form of war every year since 1830. Who benefits from these wars? Not the soldiers, not the families, not the taxpayers footing the bill. It's always the banksters. Wars are expensive, which means debt. Debt means interest payments to the people who print the money. For example, the Revolutionary War was funded by borrowing from the states and foreign powers, France, and by selling bonds. The Civil War was heavily funded by Jay Cook's marketing of bonds through, guess who? Yep, JP Morgan, and the establishment of national banks to manage debt. He was also associated with the Hall Carbine affair, where his firm financed the sale of 5,000 defective rifles to the U.S. government, establishing the basis for the military-industrial complex profiting from all wars. JP Morgan also funded the Franco-Prussian War, which was actually funded by J.S. Morgan and Company, led by J.P. Morgan's father with J.P. Morgan in New York, who loaned approximately 10 million pounds, roughly 1.3 billion in modern money, to France's Napoleon III to fund the war effort. You seen how the banksters are kind of controlling everything, especially war? And while not being listed as the founder of the Federal Reserve, JP Morgan's actions during the 1907 financial crisis spurred its creation of the Federal Reserve in 1913, the year he died. While not at the secret 1910 Jekyll Island meeting, his firm, represented by Henry Davison and allies like Paul Warburg created the plan for the Fed. And the bottom line is we've always been fighting bankster wars, and the war in Iran is no different. Now, I'm not a liberal, I'm not conservative, I'm not a Republican, I'm not a Democrat. I don't work for the central bank. I don't protect my billionaire friends by hiding damaging files. I've never bleach bit a cell phone because there might be incriminating evidence on it. I'm not rich, I'm not a multimillionaire, and I'm not a liar. So, how exactly does any politician represent me or you? They don't. They represent the people who fund them, which ultimately traces back to the same banking system that has controlled the money supply since 1913. It's a uniparty, two wings of the same bird. The names and the faces change every 4 years, but the system doesn't. And Aaron Russo warned us about this before he died. In 2007, he produced a film called Trading Places and was once friends with a member of the Rockefeller family. And he went public with what he was told directly. That goal was to eventually microchip the entire population with RFID chips and to control the access to money while controlling their behavior and ultimately controlling everyone. And we're getting to the important part here. Pay attention. Russo said that he was told that the US would invade 7 countries that didn't have a central bank. These were nations that had yet to be brought into the Rothschild banking system. At the time, people dismissed it as paranoid fantasy. But then came Iran, Iraq, Libya, Syria, Sudan, Cuba, and now Iran. Now Trump, after once swearing he'd never go to war with Iran, is fighting Israel's war with Iran, including bombing a school and killing 110 innocent children in the process. Remember, we started this out talking about those AI data centers? That's where we are today. And this is where I want you to pay really close attention. Data centers are being built all across the United States at an unprecedented rate. You're being told that it's for AI and cloud computing. Many people suspect that they're also going to be used for cryptocurrency mining, but it's also the infrastructure for something quite nefarious. Under the current Trump administration, a bill was passed allowing Palantir, which is a surveillance and data analytics company with deep ties to the intelligence agencies, to plug into a national safety network. What that means in plain English is that AI-driven surveillance is now being wired into a centralized grid. Your location, everything you purchase, your communications, your social media, your driving behavior. Remember, we were talking about how Ford is now monitoring your eyes. And if you're drifting or, leaning to one side, it will alert you and or stop your car if the AI thinks you're not capable of driving. And I'll get to that in a minute. But constant surveillance is being built into all the cars, and all of it's feeding into a system designed not to protect you, but to monitor and ultimately control you. For example, no matter what your age is, you're being carded for cigarettes. Why? You could be 70 and you're still getting carded, because this information is going into the data centers that will be used against you for health benefits. That bill I was talking about was called FISA Section 702. Excuse me. a surveillance authority that allows government to collect Americans' communications without individual warrants. And it was reauthorized in April of 2024 through 2026. Tech companies are legally required to hand over your data with no warrant needed. The 2008 bank bailout proved that when the system fails, the people pay and the criminals walk free. Not one banker went to jail. Absolutely nothing has been done with the fraud that Elon Musk exposed in government spending. Ask yourself, why? Our currency is being devalued every single day deliberately because a population that's financially desperate is a population that's easy to control. And here's the trap. This is my prediction. And I'm putting it on record right now so no one can say I didn't warn them. The AI surveillance grid, combined with the collapsing economy, will eventually give birth to a universal basic income, UBI. It'll be sold as compassion, progress, and the solution to poverty and inequality as AI takes over and takes more jobs and people become financially strapped. And to receive it, you only need to comply with mandatory vaccinations, a good social credit score, behavioral compliance, and a digital ID. And if you step out of line, your UBI gets cut off, as well as your access to the new financial system. Still backed by nothing, and you become invisible. And people will gleefully rejoice. This is Nasara. Praise Saint Germain and Jesus. This is not Nasara. This is not the prosperity programs that I've been talking about. I feel that there is something on the way. This is not it. This is the exact opposite, as a matter of fact. It's a digital control grid dressed up in the language of abundance and freedom. It'll be the end game for the banksters. It'll be the end game that the banksters have been working toward for over 100 years, which is total financial control over every human being on the planet. And some people will mistakenly celebrate it. I'll be the first in line to make a public apology if I'm wrong about this. And I've said that publicly before about Nasara as well. And I'll say it here again. But I'm not wrong. I've been watching excuse me. I've been watching this trajectory for years, and the dots connect in one direction only. In my opinion, false hope is worse than a lie. You know, Q said the arrests were coming. They haven't. Nasara has been imminent for decades. Jesus has been returning for 2,000 years. Trust the plan is the spiritual equivalent of the check is in the mail. And I'm not negative or being negative when I say this. I'm being consistent. In5D was built on questioning everything, including things our audience wants to believe, including things I initially found intriguing myself, such as the flat earth theory. But without definitive proof, these are unprovable premises, and I refuse to give false hope, because false hope is worse than lying to people, because it keeps them passive and waiting. It keeps them from doing the one thing that could actually change everything right now. As the Hopi said, we are the ones we have been waiting for. I believe that. It's not Trump. It's not a secret military tribunal. It's not the Galactic Federation flying in at the last minute. It's us, awake, informed, connected, and unwilling to comply. So what do we actually do? The same thing I've been saying since 2009. We become ungovernable, not through violence, but through awareness. When enough people understand the system loses its power. And that's always been the threat. That's always been why Tesla was suppressed, why Ron Paul was marginalized, why platforms like In5D get shadow banned while compliance media thrives. We become a type 1 civilization, not by waiting to be rescued, but by collectively deciding we're done playing the game by their rules. I want to share something with you, and this is called the Global Unity Project, what the world needs right now. And this provides answers to everything. Check it out, and we'll talk a little after this. Hang on, let me get it up there. There we go.
What the world needs right now is less government and more leaders working in the best interests of humanity. Many people fear a new world order or a one world order, but if something like this was implemented in the right way, it could be the best idea ever. Unfortunately, we have come to associate a new world order or a one world order as something that represents tyranny and oppression, when it could actually represent a new age of peace, abundance, and prosperity for everyone. The biggest problem on this planet is government. If you trace the etymology of government, it means to control the mind. In the United States, it seems like everything the government tried to run inevitably fails. Look no further than the post office or the takeover of General Motors. So the word government would be eliminated, while the actual principle behind government would be replaced with a tribunal or council of elders representing all races and ethnicities who would work solely in the best interests of humanity. There would no longer be any 2 or 4 year term limits. We could vote on them every month if we wanted to. These elders would be 100% transparent and accountable each and every month. The minute they stop working in humanity's best interests, they're fired, plain and simple. With the elimination of government, all patents, both public and suppressed, would be released, which would instantly transform this world into a new paradigm and would make the days we're currently living in seem like the Stone Age. According to Dr. Leonard Caldwell, there are over 300 cures for cancer, but most doctors are required by law to use surgery, radiation, or chemotherapy before any proven holistic measures, such as the Rife machine, THC oil, etc. This is but one small example of how beneficial technology and ideas have been suppressed from us, all in the interests of money, greed, and eugenics. In 1893, Nikola Tesla powered the Chicago's World Fair on free energy. His financier, J.P. Morgan, asked Tesla how he could charge people for this energy. Tesla stated it was free energy and that it could not be regulated. From that point forward, Morgan suppressed this idea because Morgan believed that he who controls the energy controls the power. As we know, Morgan became one of the founding fathers of the world's biggest Ponzi scheme, the Federal Reserve. Stanley Meyer invented a car that could go from coast to coast in the United States on 22 gallons of water. It could be any water: salt water, lake water, tap water, compressed snow, etc. Meyer was offered $1 billion from the automotive industry, but turned it down because he wanted this invention to go out to the people. Shortly afterwards, he was poisoned to death. Since the end of the 1800s, we should have had free electricity. Since the 1980s, we could have been using water-powered cars. Are you beginning to see the picture? Current companies and corporations could be re-educated to provide new services that benefit humanity and will be transparent and accountable for their actions. For example, Monsanto would immediately halt the production of their GMOs, but could start working on the genetic modification of fruits and vegetables that would be beneficial to society. As an example, they could splice the gene of a North Atlantic salmon with a tomato so people could grow tomatoes in cold environments, but there would not be anything detrimental in this product, such as pesticides that cause tumors in laboratory animals. Another example would be General Electric, who could start producing free energy systems. A common argument is that many people would lose their jobs due to new technologies. The people in the horse and buggy business thought the same thing when the car was introduced. New inventions will actually create new jobs. For example, the last thing that Big Pharma cured was polio, and they realized that there is no money in providing a cure for anything. Essentially, Big Pharma places a Band-Aid over our illnesses and diseases through perpetual maintenance versus finding a cure. From this point forward, Big Pharma will focus on cures instead of a temporary bandage that supports their industry through lifelong medications. A new breed of doctors will emerge who place holistic treatment ahead of anything else. In time, the Big Pharma doctor will either need to learn holistic medicine or will be phased out of existence. Of course, there are some things that cannot be cured and need maintenance through Big Pharma. But instead of using holistic treatment as a last resort, it will become the primary option. Most laws would be reduced to universal laws, where as long as you're not harming yourself or others, you are free to do as you please. There probably should be a few sub-laws, such as speed limits in neighborhoods where there are families, but generally all laws are based on respect for one another. Our police officers would once again become peace officers, and their main job would no longer be enforcing maritime code, but supporting peace. Similar to the Council of Elders, the peace officers will be held accountable for their actions and can be immediately replaced by someone who is willing to work in the best interests of humanity. Violators of any laws would be placed in a re-educational facility and would receive education on how to assimilate into this new society. Additionally, they would also provide free labor in producing new technologies that would benefit everyone, including themselves, upon release. A common language among all people should be implemented so we are able to communicate with one another across the world. This doesn't mean that it will be the only language, but it will be the language that everyone can understand and comprehend. Through the Venus Project, it has been proven that everyone can live in abundance and prosperity without the need for money. So money will be phased out as we no longer are economic slaves and are able to pursue our true divine reasons for being here. In time, most people will develop hobbies and interests that will help to support this new economy, but it starts without the need for individual gain or financial superiority over anyone else. All new ideas will immediately become open source, where if someone else has a better way or a modification of what you invented or created, then that idea is free for anyone to use, implement, or recreate into something better. As evidenced through the numerous cases of pedophilia, corruption, and crimes against humanity, the Roman Catholic Church would be dissolved and their net worth would be distributed throughout the world, creating instant abundance for everyone. The Roman Catholic Church has enough net worth to feed, clothe, and shelter everyone on this planet. So one must ask themselves, why is there starvation and homelessness? Just like all governments, the Roman Catholic Church is more into subservience, control, and conformity than it is honoring the word of their texts. In the ideal world, all religious texts would boil down to 4 words: love everyone, respect everything. Our educational system would be tailored to each child's strengths and needs versus clumping all children into one educational format. For example, an extrovert might excel more in a class where they're learning about public speaking, while the introvert might excel more in philosophy and the arts. A Montessori setting might be more applicable, where the children's classroom would be outside in nature. Innate abilities, such as clairvoyance, would not be ridiculed, but would be encouraged, as we are all born with unique gifts and abilities. We should also teach holistic remedies and cures for illnesses. For example, Big Pharma recommends heartburn medications such as Rolaids, Tums, and Pepcid AC. Innately, when you have heartburn, your body is telling you that your acid levels are too high and that you need to boost your alkalines. But Big Pharma is telling you that you can continue to eat unhealthy food because they have a pill that will resolve this issue. We're not being taught how to listen to our bodies or how to resolve these issues without the need for Big Pharma. A complete revision of history needs to be rewritten, not by the winner who always seems to record history, but from every perspective without propaganda. Additionally, the origins of mankind need to be reconsidered, as there is evidence of mankind on Earth for many tens of thousands of years, as evidenced by researchers such as Michael Cremo and Graham Hancock. The way we view television will be completely revised. Imagine watching the 6 o'clock news and feeling good afterwards. The newscasters would report on all the positive things that are going on in this world instead of reinforcing fear and negativity. If there were any commercials, they would be for ideas and products that would benefit humanity versus selling us crap that we don't need or something that is designed to be made under the premise of controlled obsolescence, which forces us to buy the newer version every couple of years. The current paradigm thrives on the divide and conquer premise, which prevents us from coming together as a global society. Before anything, we all need to put aside any and all differences to unite, because once the bottom of the pyramid unites, the rest will collapse. One thing that will need to be determined and defined is what the best interests of humanity would be. Other things needed to be discussed would be ways to disarm and eliminate nuclear weapons and nuclear waste, the irrigation and purification of our water supply, new methods of cleaning up our environment, sustainable living through eco-friendly homes, as well as the optimal ways to grow food. I'm sure that there are many other ideas that would help make this world a better place for all of us, but this gives us a good starting point. I'm just a simple guy with a few ideas on how to fix what is broken. Any ideas from this point forward should all be open source, where there are no patents or individual intellectual ownership. We all need to work in the best interests of humanity and not for our own materialistic interests, because the path that we're heading is completely unsustainable. As David Icke says, the few control the many. We are the many, and we have the numbers to make this happen right now. Like the Hopi said, we are the ones that we have been waiting for. We are also the light at the end of the tunnel. What the world needs right now is for everyone to come together in a common cause. What ideas do you have? Let's work on this together. Leave your comments below this video. Also, feel free to share and mirror this video on your YouTube channel as well. That's it for now. This is Greg from In5D.com.
I love you guys. I do. And I thank everyone that's been with In5D throughout the years. You have been amazing. And you've seen my track record. I have a pretty good record of predictions and views of what's to come. Sometimes it's something like this and I'm trying to give you a heads up. Other times it's like things that will happen, in my opinion, like the event when that white light flash covers the planet. Gosh, that can't happen soon enough, can it? But ultimately, everything that's going on right now in the physical world, in our 3D reality, is being controlled by the banksters. There's no left and right side of the aisle. It's a uniparty. It's the same thing, same shit, different toilet. And putting our hope into someone saving us is taking away our own individual power to be the ones who can save ourselves. I've given a number of ideas in that video. And there was a good point too. Grand Dragon Lady said, it's very hard to do this on our own. I keep trying, but I'm not sure if anything I do is even working. I mean, continue trying and putting that message out there. When more and more people realize that we don't need to be controlled by a government that does not have our best interests in mind, that we can take over and make this world a better place for everyone until the event happens. I have no date on that. I don't get dates on when any event will happen, but I can tell you this. If the world doesn't wake up soon, we all need to come together. And these Epstein files are the perfect way for this to happen. This will be the first time in history. This is the first event in history, the Epstein files, that can bring together both sides of the uniparty aisle together in a common cause. Because all the people outside of government want to see this happen. And it's our opportunity to really change the whole paradigm by holding those accountable. Maybe some people say that the world's not ready for it. I think we are. I think those people are underestimating us. Like I said, you guys have been following me for years, and I appreciate and love all of you. And this is what I do. I question everything. Sometimes it's the uncomfortable truths. Like I said, like Nasara, which Charlie Ward says has been around since the late 1950s. And if that were true, it means people have been waiting 70 years for something. I'm not going to bullshit you like that. I love you too much to bullshit you. And because I know you guys trust me, and I appreciate that. And I would not do anything to betray that trust. And that's why I tell you what I tell you. And sometimes it's not the prettiest or the happiest things in the world, but I do see the future for humanity. And I see us winning. The light always wins. And we're on the right path. Don't buy into the bullshit that's around you, the crap that's on TV, and buying into any kind of savior. I'm not that savior, and Trump isn't, Jesus isn't. We are the ones we have been waiting for. The Hopi were 100% correct when they said that. I have great faith in all of you. I know we're going to come out on top. Just keep doing what you're doing. Like Dolores Cannon said, is it happening in your reality right now? Right now. Kind of, yeah, when you go to the gas pump and when you go to the grocery store, but you're not there right now. It's not happening at this moment. You're watching this video. So, but that, you don't want to bury your head in the sand either. Although there are people that are just here to hold the light. And I appreciate each and every one of you that are doing that. That don't get involved in all this stuff. But there comes a point in time where things do have to change. What is currently being implemented is not in humanity's best interest. We could easily be a type 1 civilization, which we're not. We're only a 0.73 right now. We could easily be a type 1 civilization with what I showed you on that video. We could do it if it wasn't for the greed, the petrodollar, the banksters, and that need for money. The one question I ask people more than anything else, than any other question I ask them, if there was no such thing as money, what would you be doing with your life? Because whatever answer that is will give you a good idea of what your true life purpose is. And some people will say, oh, I'd party my ass off, or I'd travel the world. Well, let's say you partied your ass off and lived to tell about it, and you traveled the world 100 times. Eventually, you're going to want to do something. What would that be? And that gives you a good idea of what it is that you would be doing. Myself, I'd still be doing this. I'd still be doing shows and running In5D. I'd have an orchard with a sign out front. that says, help yourself. And if you know someone that's hungry, grab a little for them too. And I would additionally work with children in helping them to cultivate their true life purpose. I've always had a passion for children, and my daughter and I are like children magnets. Earlier today, I'm sitting in my beach chair, my feet are in the water, right? I'm on the shore, at the edge of the shoreline, and I hear this splash, splash. There's a child crawling up to me that was almost at my feet, just crawling and looking at me. And the woman goes, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I go, don't worry about it. It's no big deal. I had the same thing happen yesterday, where this child comes up and just starts talking to me, and the woman apologized. I said, don't worry about it, and I told her this story, how Brittany, my daughter, and I are like children magnets, and that I was a child and family therapist for at-risk youth because of my passion to help children. So that's one thing I would do. I'd definitely help those children and try to gently guide them and give them possibilities of things they could do or interests they might cultivate into something down the road, because they are our future. So I'm going to leave it off there. I want to thank everyone for joining me tonight. I put a lot out there. There's a lot to think about. But I do have such great faith in all of you. And if no one said this yet to you today, please allow me to be the first. You are loved. You are appreciated. And thank you for your service to humanity. Till the next time, I'm Greg from In5D.com, sending you all infinite love and light. Sure to check out the live streams that are on there. And I'll see you the next time. Take care, everyone.